This is about why socialists and communists don't believe in their own system. And it contains some arguments that may be useful if you're discussing these things with socialists and communists, who are incidentally the same thing. They're like beer and whiskey. It's the same product but just different strengths. And their vision is very attractive. That's perhaps why it's very popular at the moment. No more inequality, no more salary divisions, rich and poor abolished, equal pay across the board. And activists today seem very serious about implementing this theory in full, perhaps because it's a theory and they haven't visited socialist or communist countries and see what it's like in real life. And I expect they'll want pure Marxism, not like the Soviet Union that collapsed because it wasn't Marxist, it wasn't communist enough. This was the argument that was always made. And before it collapsed, I used to be skeptical of communism, and I'd point to the Soviet Union and say, well, that's a brutal dictatorship. And the communists would say, well, why do you always bring up the Soviet Union? And I would say, well, the red flag, the red army, marching through Red Square, Karl Marx all over the big red banners, bit of a theme, slightly pinkish. And the communists would say, well, that's not communism. Real communism is paradise. And that's a very interesting principle. Communism can't let human beings down. Only human beings can let communism down. And that's the attraction of it. It's perfect. It makes imperfect human beings better by removing all the bad things in society, like the salary difference, the pay gap between, say, the road digger and the heart surgeon. They earn unequal amounts. And that's a bad thing according to socialists and communists. But I wonder if it's a bad thing. It produces one good outcome. The pay gap produces heart surgeons. If the heart surgeon can't earn any more than the road digger, then no one has a motive to become a heart surgeon. There's no point investing the time and energy involved in learning. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Inequality could well be a good thing. And activists believe it's a good thing. If a socialist has a heart attack, he calls the heart surgeon, not the road digger. And he's saved by inequality, so he can carry on pretending to support a system that his actions have just invalidated. And it's the same thing with redistribution. Socialists don't really believe that surplus wealth should go to the poor. They always exclude their own surplus wealth from the amount that should be passed on. Most socialists are housed and employed and able-bodied. So they're already wealthier than the jobless, the homeless, and the disabled, to whom they owe money from their own surplus, according to their beliefs. But these socialists also have a smartphone and a laptop and a broadband contract and a TV license in this country and Netflix perhaps and Spotify, all inessentials. I mean, nobody dies because they don't have internet access. But a socialist generally doesn't cancel his broadband contract or sell his laptop to help the needy. He gives money to the tech giants. He starves the needy of money and spends it on treats that make multimillionaires richer. So he doesn't believe in socialism. Or you might get a rich socialist who says, let's raise taxes. I'm happy to pay more. But he's not happy to pay more. If he was happy to pay more, he'd have died of ecstasy by paying more voluntarily. The government accepts donations. There's a minimum tax rate set by the government, but the maximum tax rate is set by you. So the rich socialist ought to say, let's raise taxes so everyone pays the extra that I'm already paying. But the socialist doesn't say that. What he says is, I'll pay more only if everybody else does. In other words, I'll be the last to pay more. So he doesn't believe in socialism. And they can be fun, these people. There's a fun game you can play if you see socialists or communists selling a newspaper. Ask them to give it away. They believe in sharing. Be the change you want to see. But they never give you the paper. They turn into capitalists. They say, we've got our costs. The printer wants money. We need cash for the next edition. And they're good capitalists, not reluctant capitalists. They're actually exemplary capitalists, some of them. I once asked a couple of socialists to give me a free newspaper they were selling, and one of them said, we're not rich, which suggests that the richer you are, the likelier you are to give things away for free, which is the best argument for capitalism I've ever heard, and it came from a socialist.